Welcome to Media Melanie Talks TV. You guessed it, I'm your host, Media Melanie, and I'm here to talk about TV. Specifically, today's video will cover The Bear, Season 3, Part 2, Episodes 6 through 10. Now, you might notice I have a new background. My podcast mic recently broke and I had to get a new one, so I'm still kind of working on my new podcasting setup. I moved into a new home a couple of months ago, so trying to tweak it. So if things look different for a little bit, don't mind it. I'm just tweaking some background things. First of all, I would like to congratulate The Bear. It broke the record for the most nominations by a comedy series in 1 year with 23 nods. It actually beat out the previous record held by 30 Rock on NBC, which, by the way, is an actual true comedy where you laugh out loud, where there are jokes, where it takes exceptional comedic writing and timing. And that said, I do not find The Bear to be a true comedy series. It is a half hour. There are some funny moments, some funny comedic interactions between characters. However, for me, this is not a comedy. I realize this Emmy nomination window is for season 2, which was a little bit lighter than what we've seen in season 3. But overall, I find it to be a dramedy that skews way more drama. So while I don't find it to be a comedy, it is still obviously in that category, so we must live with it. And I'm not saying it's not deserving of all of the acclaim. I'm just saying, to me, not a comedy. In general, season 3, it's felt a lot different. It's felt a lot more internalized. It's dealing with themes of trauma, intergenerational family issues. And again, it all goes back to it not being a comedy. This season looks a lot different. One of those reasons is because Christopher Storer, the creator of The Bear, actually had a 3-season story in mind. With all of the acclaim, it did get renewed for a 4th season. Therefore, he was asked to split his idea for the 3rd season into 2, which is why season 3 felt very much like a continuation. The end of it said to be continued because we did not get enough answers. For me, I like answers. I like season finales to be tied up in a bow with at least some form of closure. And my biggest criticism is we did not get any closure on almost anything during season 3. The best episode of the season for me was probably Napkins, which is episode 6. Napkins focused on the backstory of Tina and how she started at The Bear. Like previous season standalone character backstory issues, it does provide a lot of context into Tina, her journey, her personal struggles, her character arc. That said, I loved Liza Colon-Zayas's real-life husband, David, playing her on-screen husband here. You, of course, may know him as Angel Batista from Dexter. Loved that series. So just a note on the exceptional casting. I think it's much more authentic anytime there are 2 actors who can play on-screen spouses. They know each other, they know their idiosyncrasies, so I think this really worked well. What we learned was that the couple was struggling financially after Tina was laid off from her job, and then we get into her long and bleak journey in the job hunting world of a middle-aged woman. The highlight of this episode for me, however, was the conversation between her and Mikey, played by John Bernthal. What a treat getting more John Bernthal. And what a meaningful conversation, what a meaningful journey for her actually arriving to get this job. However, in terms of continuity, this episode seemed to forget that Tina said in season 1, she's known Carmy since he was in diapers. We come to learn that she got this job with Mikey at the original Beef in 2017, per her resume. At that time, Carmy was not living in Chicago, so technically she wouldn't have met him until after he returned or after Mikey's death. So, small little continuity issue. While we're on the topic of continuity issues, there was also one picked up by eagle-eyed viewers, which, by the way, I personally did not notice. I picked up on this while reading an article in Us Weekly where they actually noted a bunch of continuity errors in The Bear season 3. One of them being a cutaway shot where in the first part we see Richie wearing his wedding ring, and then in the second shot he's not wearing his wedding ring. Now, this is probably a result of the fact that schedules were busy, so it seems they started filming season 4 at the same time season 3 was in production. Now, I've worked in production. From a production standpoint, there are a lot more moving parts. The production scheduling is tricky. And you know what? things slip through the cracks. This was one of them. Another little slip through the cracks was the fact that the actor who plays Luca is actually named Will. And when Carmi received a text about Ever closing, it was from Will, who's the actor who plays Luca. So that was just another little minor oversight. Not a huge deal, although I am somewhat surprised that nobody picked up on that when they were doing that. Maybe it was a pickup shot and it was done after. I don't know, but just another small little continuity issue. One more continuity issue. At some point, we see pictures of potential reviewers who might be coming into The Bear to review it. And there is one with the same name, Eliza Cameron. Is it possible that there are perhaps two Eliza Cameron reviewers in the food world? Potentially, but I do think this was just another small little thing, which probably had to do with the overlapped filming of season 3 and season 4 at the same time. And you know what? Good for them for undertaking that. I used to produce the Beverly Hills 90210 show, and one thing that Chuck and Larry, the executive producers and writers from Beverly Hills 90210, used to talk about was double ups. They would actually be filming 2 episodes simultaneously, which is insane from a production standpoint. So props to anybody who works in production who's able to work on this type of schedule. It's insane and really speaks to the professionality of the cast and crew to be able to pull it off. Moving on to episode 7, Legacy. Sid actually receives an offer from Ever's chef Shapiro to become the chef de cuisine at his new restaurant. And this would potentially pay more than her current salary at the Bear. Sydney does consider the offer, and she's still feeling scorned by Carmi in the fact that she doesn't really have a voice. He's undermining her authority in the kitchen. And she received that DocuSign and email way back at the beginning of season 3. And she still hasn't opened it, which really bothers me. And again, it bothers me that by the end of the season, we still don't know whether or not Sid is actually going to come back or not. Talk about a cliffhanger. Episode 8, Ice Chips. I loved this one. I talked a little bit about how season 3 has really been exploring themes of generational trauma, family issues, mental health, addiction, and the relationship between Sugar and her mom, played by Jamie Lee Curtis, is very obviously strained. However, this episode gives some hope to breaking those cycles. There is a glimmer of hope in the interactions between Sugar and her mom, who, was not expected to be there for her childbirth. However, I think that the fact that Donna Berzato was there, she's trying to be there for her daughter, it says something. Sugar is obviously in a lot of pain. She's in labor. Hey, I've been there, done that. I get it. Very stressful. And you don't necessarily always want this extra baggage around. But it was nice to see somewhat of a breakthrough. But what I think we all really want is for Carmi to have a similar breakthrough and maybe in the next season come to some kind of closure. Again, I do like to see that there is a glimmer of hope, and Ice Chips was a poignant episode. It didn't tell the story or move much forward in terms of plot lines for other storylines. However, I do think this was important for the Berzato family and for Sugar's character arc. The next episode, episode 9, is titled Apologies. Now, apologies meant many different things. The first one was Carmi's lack of being able to actually apologize to Claire. Carmi was talking about Claire to the facts, saying that she is peace, which is the complete and utter opposite of Carmi, who is absolutely complete chaos. The facts retort that she is haunting him, and he says he does not have the ability to apologize. True that, Carmi is haunted by Claire, by Chef David, his family trauma, personal demons, and the facts double down. They go to see Claire at work, which was an epic fail, although very cute that they're trying so hard to get Carmi and Claire back together. And while we do want to see them together, it's pretty clear that Claire does not even deserve Carmi. Why is it that us as viewers are rooting for a somewhat problematic relationship? It's because they've been torn apart, and naturally within the storylines of television and the way things work with formulas, there's always this underlying story of will they or won't they? Will they get together? How will it look if they do get together? And then Carmi walking back into the fridge at the end of this episode, I thought was pretty crazy, especially given everything that went down in the fridge at the end of season 2. But the funniest, maybe not funniest part was when he's apologizing to Claire's contact in his phone, which, by the way, does not even have a photo in it. missed opportunity. He should definitely have a photo of Claire in there. But I'm hoping that this will be the first step, allowing him to actually apologize to her in person. Whether or not they get back together again, I think accountability for the way Carmi is treating other people is just as important as him overcoming his own personal struggles. Episode 10, Forever. This was probably my third favorite episode of the season, behind Napkins and Ice Chips. I love to see Carmi approach Chef David, Joel McHale's character, who's been one of the show's primary antagonists and lives very much rent-free in Carmi's head. And I go back to the fact that, yes, Carmi did approach Chef David, which took a lot. He's obviously ran this conversation through his head many times, but I don't think he got closure. Joel McHale's character says something along the lines of, because of what I did, you became a better chef. Now, is that a trade-off for all of the emotional turmoil that Carmi has experienced since working with him? I don't know. I personally do not want that type of person living in my head afterwards for so many years, even if they did contribute to my success. But who knows? Perhaps this will at least help Carmi continue to try and move forward a little bit. Something from the season I really appreciated was Richie and Tiff. Now, Richie has had a lot of character growth and a very strong character arc throughout the series as a whole, but we are starting to see a softer side of him. Of course, he's considering whether or not he's going to RSVP to Tiff and Frank's wedding. I think Tiff gives him a very good reason to, saying how much she considers him family. I love that they do have this relationship. They're co-parenting well, and there's nothing more I want than for Richie to attend the wedding. I mean, really, I would love to see them get back together. I don't think that's in the cards. Josh Hartnett's character as Tiff's fiance is fantastic, and I just love to see anything with Richie. Now, speaking of things that I think we would all like to see with Richie is Carmi and Richie coming together and reconciling. Now, that's on Carmi. Carmi owes Richie a big apology. We did not get much forward movement on their relationship during season 3. In fact, there are a lot of things I wish that maybe we had got an answer to at least one of them. Again, will Sid stay at the restaurant or will she go? I would really like to know. I think we would all really like to know. Will Richie go to Tiff's wedding? I hope so. But again, we still do not have an answer. Will Richie and Carmi reconcile? Hopefully. But apparently, we're going to have to wait till season 4 to find out. How will the Chicago Tribune review go? Now, that is a big question because it could go either way. They've planted some seeds. They've shown some clips. It looks like it could be good. It could be bad. It could be a little bit of both. And let's face it, that could make or break the Bear. So that's going to be a big thing going into season 4. And Claire and Carmi, what's the deal? Again, as viewers, of course, we would probably like to see them together, but why is it that we like seeing dysfunctional relationships? Of course, the hope is that if they do get together, it will not be dysfunctional. They will somehow be able to find common ground. Carmi will apologize. Claire has just been nothing but a bright, shining star on the show. She is a great character, got an effortless likability about her. I loved her character in Animal Kingdom too, by the way. If you've not watched that show, she played quite the opposite character of Claire. But I do hope that they get together, but only if they're able to do it in a functional way and in a way that helps Carmi process some of his own traumas and personal demons. Now, I've mentioned trauma, personal demons, and all of this stuff a lot during my coverage of The Bear, and that's because season 3 feels very deep. There's actually a really great article in the LA Times talking about how The Bear is not about the restaurant industry, The Bear is not about cooking, The Bear is about addiction, and I find that to be so true. Given the way that season 3 started, very internalized, that first episode all in Carmi's head, it really gets into the mental portion of being in the restaurant or really any industry. Specifically, though, the restaurant industry is very tough, long hours. Essentially, if you own a restaurant, you're putting your blood, sweat, and tears into that. So I think the biggest hope for season 4 is for Carmi to have some kind of a breakthrough, for him to start overcoming some of these generational trauma themes, because that really is what the core of The Bear is all about. We're getting less aggressiveness, we're getting less in your face, and again, we're not getting as much comedy. There are some funny moments. The facts are hilarious. There are funny micro moments, but again, this is just not a comedy, you guys. I said it the day the Emmy nominations came out. Of course, it was not a surprise the Bear's in the comedy category. They submit it as such because they feel that that's where they fit. But I think it's kind of gaming the system. I think it should be a drama. And if you compare, let's say, Abbott Elementary to The Bear, night and day, can we not open up the comedy to Acapulco or We Are Lady parts, which has flown way too far under the radar, by the way? But my hope is that we will see more comedies getting the recognition they deserve. For me, I am not a TV writer, but I would imagine writing comedy is 10 times harder than writing for other genres. Anybody can write a drama. Well, maybe not anybody, but it takes a lot to be able to write comedy. And again, if we're stacking The Bear up against 30 Rock, and now The Bear surpasses 30 Rock in terms of Emmy nominations for 1 year, that is strange to me because 30 Rock is one of the best comedically done shows of all time. Of course, it was born from Tina Fey from Saturday Night Live, extensive experience in comedy, but The Bear just is not a comedy for me. I'm going to leave it at that. That's my final thought because I feel very strongly about it. I will be talking about this up until the Emmys are on. Again, congratulations. It is a fantastic show. It is apparently the new Succession in that it is getting so many nominations, dominating all of the different categories, which is great. It is a fantastic show. I will continue to talk about it, but not a comedy. What did you think about The Bear Season 3? I would love to get your thoughts, so please do drop a comment. I will be dropping new content soon as my schedule allows. You guys, summertime is so hectic, having kids, working for the Padres, doing my digital marketing work, doing my broadbandnow.com videos. There is a lot going on, but I look forward to bringing you more content. Lately, I've been doing more shorts than longer form videos, so stay tuned for more of those and for more content. If there's a show you'd like me to cover, drop a comment, hit me up, let me know. But for now, Media Melanie, clicking off.